Isn't that illegal?
The people who support intelligent design want you to know that a supernatural designer created everyone, and that the science of intelligent design isn't creationism, and it's not Christianity in disguise. However, because you can't teach religion in schools, intelligent design is put forward as a sort of non-religious scientific theory. And basically the theory is this: some things are so complex that they could never have evolved, so they must have been designed. And so if some things are designed by a supernatural being, everything else in the natural world must have been designed too. In fact, the whole universe was supposedly designed. And to my mind there's a problem with that, and the problem is this: if it's so obvious that a designer made the universe, isn't it also obvious that there must have been more than one designer? And in fact, surely there must have been a whole team of designers, thousands or millions, all working in their individual little departments. Because you don't just have designers, you need manufacturers too. I'm going to give you some of the examples that intelligent designers give. They'll say to you, if you found a computer in a forest, you would know that that computer didn't just spring up, it had to have been designed. And that's fair enough, obviously that's right. But you'd also know that hundreds of people had developed that design over a period of many years. There is no way you would ever believe that one person had designed and built that computer. It's just too complex for one person to build. So what about another example that intelligent design people like to give? A watch. It's a complex thing. Let's assume we're talking about watches, but let's assume we're talking about watches in the days when one person could actually make a watch. So, you know, we're exploring the one designer theory here. So a watchmaker would spend weeks putting together intricate mechanisms and making valuable watches for rich clients. So in theory, one watch could be made by one person. But he didn't do it all himself. Watchmakers don't make all the watch parts themselves. And going back even further, he didn't dig up the copper and zinc and melt it down and make it into brass for the watch parts. He didn't mine the gold and silver for the case. He didn't dig up diamonds and cut them and decorate the watch. He didn't heat sand and make glass and mould it to make the face, or mix the ink to paint the numbers on the dial. And somebody else made all his tools, probably. His tweezers, his magnifying glass, everything in his toolkit that he'd used to make the watch. And if it's a modern watch, who made the battery? Who invented the technology for the battery? And who raised the cow and killed it to get leather for the strap? Watches and computers, they're complex objects, and they need teams of people to create them. But according to intelligent design, some things are so complex that they must have been designed. And if that's the case, why would anybody assume that anything which is even more complex, like a plant or an animal, wouldn't need a huge team of designers and manufacturers to build it? How could you even think that there could be only one designer? Intelligent design supporters have never ever suggested that there might be a team of designers all busy in their intergalactic workshops, because that would just sound a little bit like Father Christmas and his little elves, and that would just be ridiculous, wouldn't it? But is it any more ridiculous to think that there's an intelligent designer up there? So why do intelligent design supporters only ever talk of one designer? The answer to that is this: Intelligent design is not science, it's religion, pure and simple. And that religion is Christianity. There are no Muslim intelligent design supporters, there are no Buddhist intelligent designers, there are no Jewish intelligent design supporters. There are no suggestions of multiple designers, because Christianity obviously has only one designer, and that's the Christian God. Christians invented intelligent design for one reason only: to sneak Christianity into schools through the back door and pretend it's a scientific alternative to evolution. But even complex things like watches and computers have evolved. We didn't go straight from sundials to super accurate quartz watches overnight. And we didn't go from the abacus to high-powered Wi-Fi laptops in one go either. Inventions like this, they're all built up over time. They're built on top of previous models, taking the best ideas, adding new ones, making improvements every time. Design evolves over time. Some inventions reach a dead end and they become extinct. Betamax tapes, to take an example. Other ones keep evolving into more complex models, like new generations of faster and more complex PCs. Like the Neanderthals and Homo sapiens, now we've got Windows PCs and Apple Macs. Two separate species, if you like, that have evolved from the same common ancestor, primitive computers. So how could you possibly look at something as complex as a human and think, one designer made that from scratch, instantly, totally, out of nothing, no blueprint, no earlier models, nothing else to go on? Isn't it more logical to think that life evolved, slowly, over hundreds of millions of years, using natural selection, which is a process of gradual change? If intelligent design is going to be taught as science, why don't we just forget about one designer and just assume that the only sensible thing is that there are many more designers than just one? But obviously that's not going to happen, because don't forget, it's Christian creationism we're talking about here. It's not intelligent design. It's just, intelligent design is just creationism repackaged and marketed to get it into schools. It's not any kind of independent scientific theory. It's Christian dogma. So better still, let's just scrap intelligent design, and then we can keep religion completely separate from real science.
Isn't that illegal?
Censor your kids' ideas, censor your child's inspiration, censor all that. Expect a really heavy return spring, because you know what? That kid's going to turn her on you, and you're never ever going to have a part of his life again.
Casting off the chains of the world.
But enough about me.